Well, Nebraska's first satellite camp in the books here, and it wasn't very ideal situations. As you can see, we are now inside, as not only did lightning and thunder roll in to move everyone in, but eventually thunderstorm warnings turned into tornado warnings as the camp ramped up here. But nonetheless, Nebraska got in a workout, probably about 150 plus guys, Nate, and really the big story is Nebraska makes a 2019 in-state offer to defensive end Garrett Nelson out of Scottsbluff.
Yeah, Garrett Nelson, about 6'3", 235 pounds. They offered him as an outside linebacker, kind of that boundary outside linebacker position, but worked out as a defensive end, both at the lineman camp today and at the Friday Night Lights camp this evening, and was dominant all day long, really. Extremely quick first step, and was, for the most part, unblockable by any of the linemen. I know Perella was matching him up with certain guys, and he just kept beating everybody. So it was a lot of fun to watch that. And then, of course, to watch him actually receive the offer after the camp was something
special moment. Yeah, you had him tearing up there, hugging his father, a former Husker wrestler. Corey Nelson wrestled in the same era when John Perella played football here, so they knew each other. And that's really what it's all about. And I think some of that is kind of lost with some of these in-state kids. They don't feel that same passion necessarily when they get a Nebraska offer. So to see that, I know a lot of the diehards, especially our members on HuskerOnline, really like to hear those stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for a Western Nebraska kid growing up in Scottsbluff to make his way all the way out to Lincoln and do well enough to be invited back to the Friday Night Lights camp and then eventually earn that offer, it was a pretty special deal today.
Well, then you had Max Duggan here, the Council Bluffs Lewis Central quarterback, probably going to be a top 250, top 100 type guy when he's rated by rivals down the road. And you look at what he's done. He's a four-sport athlete. This is really the first true crack Nebraska's gotten at him in a setting like this.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch how Nebraska was operating with him this evening. You had a lot of players, Tanner Lee, Patrick O'Brien, Tristan Jebbia, really connecting with him, going out of their way to communicate with him. And then, of course, all the coaches, including Danny Langsdorff, Mike Riley, some of the GAs even were going out of their way to recruit him and love him up. But as far as his performance tonight on the field, super impressed. He's got a very strong arm, straight through a hard enough ball. A lot of the wide receivers had a hard time catching it this evening.
And they were loving him up. I mean, you could see Billy Devaney, all the coaches, all the current Husker quarterbacks were in his corner, because he is a big piece, not for this next year, but for the future of that position. He's now priority number one.
Absolutely. Nebraska is choosing to forego recruiting a quarterback in this 2018 class and has now made Max Duggan their priority for 2019. So to get him on campus, to get him in a setting like this was a big deal for Nebraska tonight.
And Nate, as we wrap it up here, a few other kind of guys that jumped off the radar. Give us a couple other names you saw out here tonight.
Yeah, well, you had defensive end, 2019 defensive end Marcus Hicks out of Wichita, Tajay Davis, 2018 cornerback out of Boys Town. At the tight end position, you had Garrett Snodgrass, the 2019 tight end out of York, Grant Matthews, the 2018 tight end out of Creighton Prep. Those are just a handful of the guys that really impressed this evening.
And I can confirm Tajay Davis from Boys Town did pick up a South Dakota State offer here at the camp from their coaching staff. Well, that wraps it up here as Nebraska's first Friday Night Lights camp is in the books. They'll be back here next Friday, speed and skill camp in the morning, and then their bigger Friday Night Lights camp with several of their current commits, including Buki Radley-Hiles, will take place in front of probably one of the bigger crowds we've seen for a summer camp. So make sure you log on to HuskerOnline.com all throughout the week for full updates and previews. For videographer Greg Peterson, I'm Sean Callahan and Nate Klaus.